Hey guys, today we have a lot of amazing and interesting news and some old news. So let's start by. Oh, yeah, I know you're all very thrilled by the news that Andrew Yang is polling number fourth in the nation, 8%, and he also qualified for the next debate in February. That's super awesome, and he should have been on the January debate were it not for the delayed polls that just came out, right? I mean, there were four polls that came out yesterday, literally, and that qualified him immediately for the February debate. So that's great, but I think his actual number, his actual polling number should be higher than that because a lot of people that would vote for him, would caucus for him, were not actually being polled. That includes, disaffected Trump voters and those independents, first-time voters. I said this in one of the previous videos, and I expect Andrew Yang to end up at least in third place in Iowa and even better in New Hampshire. Okay. Um, with that said, I think it's also important to focus on the truth and the vision that Andrew Yang is having. Okay, so Andrew Yang said that Democrats should be going on Fox News and criticizes the DNC for not letting the channel host a Democrat debate. Let's hear what Andrew Yang said. I think that's so true. Um, yeah, let's start with this.
My administration will be able to draw people in from both sides of the aisle. I'm non-ideological, I'm very data-driven and solutions-oriented, and people sense that. One thing I think Democrats should do, I think we should go on Fox News and talk to the American people. Because how can you win an election and bring the country together if you literally won't talk to 40 or 50% of the population?
Exactly. So that's actually a very important point because 40 or 50% of people watch Fox News. I mean, those people who supported Trump, right? Those are Republican leaning, and if you don't talk to those people, if you don't get your voices heard by those people, getting support from some of them, how are you going to unite the country, and how are you going to beat Donald Trump? Okay.
Something I would say is critical of the DNC. Like, these DNC debates have been going on, like, you probably caught one by accident. There was a decision early on in the process where Fox News said, we'd like to host a DNC debate. And to me, if you're the DNC, you jump at that. You're like, let me show my candidates to people who generally watch Fox News. But the DNC turned it down. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah. It's ridiculous. I mean, DNC turned down Fox News' request to host a debate. That's such an awesome opportunity. That's a great opportunity to actually reach out to the other side of the aisle, to those people, Trump supporters or independents, right? That's a missed opportunity, and so Andrew Yang is the guy who's not only put his money where his mouth is. Okay, so he personally funded multiple people with his own money. He funded them the freedom dividend, and he's also putting his mouth where his mouth is. Okay, that's what I mean. Andrew Yang actually had multiple interviews with Fox News.
You decided to say this week that you thought that the Democratic National Committee had made a big mistake in deciding not to hold any presidential debates on Fox. I guess really two questions. One, why did you decide to say it? And two, after you did, what was the reaction from the DNC?
Well, it came up at an event here in Iowa. Someone asked how we're going to bring the country together. And I thought, well, if you're going to bring the country together, you have to start by talking to Americans. And I pointed out this example where the DNC decided not to have any of the presidential debates on Fox, which I thought was a mistake. And I haven't had a direct conversation with the DNC. I think they've been in touch with people from my team.
But I think this is common sense. To me, hopefully the DNC will adopt a different approach in the future because we have to bring the entire country together. The problems that face us affect all of us, and we need to come together as a country to solve them.
So in last year, even as early as February 21st, he had an interview, and 24th he had another interview. And let's watch this.
Democrats, if not the first, to jump into the 2020 presidential race with a central campaign promise to provide Americans with a universal basic income. Joining us now is New York and Silicon Valley tech entrepreneur and former CEO of Venture for America, now presidential candidate, Andrew Yang. Andrew, thanks so much for joining us.
Wow, I love this. I love Andrew Yang on this background. It just looks so presidential for some reason. I don't know, I just love it. I think he would look awesome if he's on, the bill, right? $1,000 a month bill, right? His freedom dividend bill. Freaking awesome.
Andrew, thanks so much for joining us today. Some of our viewers are probably admittedly unfamiliar with your candidacy, but you've been on the trail for a year now, and your campaign says you've got a pretty clear path to the first round of Democratic debates. Lay out the next year and a bit for us.
Sure thing. So, as you said, the first Democratic debates are in June, and we're well on the way to making it there. I'm already polling at 1% nationwide, and most people have still never heard of me. And we're going to achieve the other threshold, which is 65,000 individual donations by May 15th. We're getting 1,000 to 2,000 new donations a day, and we'll easily clear that mark. So we're very excited to be on that debate stage in June, along with the other Democratic candidates.
So, Andrew,
Andrew already had this vision, like from 1 year ago, or even 2 years ago, that he's going to make it, right? At that time, 1 year ago, probably most people was thinking that he was just running like a joke, and he was probably just trying to sell his books, right? His idea of the universal basic income, and just to get some attention. But he's serious. He actually had the vision. He actually already saw his winning path. Like, he was 1% at that time. Still, a lot of people, most people didn't know him. But now he's at 8% nationwide, right? But still, a lot of people don't know him. So that's the potential right there.
Of your funding coming from these folks? Who's funding most of your campaign?
Well, I'm happy to say we've raised over $400,000 from over 20,000 donors in the last 2 weeks alone. And most of that's from Americans right here in Ohio and around the country who realize that the economy is being changed fundamentally by new technology. The reason why Donald Trump is our president today is that we automated away 4 million manufacturing jobs in Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and other swing states. And that's why we need to be honest with the American people that not only are those industries being affected, but soon retail, call centers, truck driving, and on through the economy. And that's why I'm running for president.
Okay, so tell me about universal income. As I understand it, the way you see it, the plan is for Americans nationwide to get about $1,000 a month each. Tell us how you're going to pay for that.
Well, right now, the big winners from artificial intelligence and all these new innovations are going to be Amazon, Google, Facebook, the biggest tech companies in the world. And you can see in the headlines, Amazon literally paid zero in federal taxes last year, despite having a record profit of $11 billion. Netflix, same thing, zero in federal taxes, despite record profits. So what we need to do is we need to put a new value-added tax in effect that would help harness the gains from all these new technologies and bring those gains right here to Ohio and to the American people in the form of a $1,000 dividend per adult per month, the freedom dividend.
Is that, quick question, is that taxable or is it protected?
The $12,000 you receive per year would not be taxable, but it might push your income up into a point where it does get taxed.
So how much is this going to cost writ large? Have you come up with a number?
Well, if you look at our current spending, we're already spending about $1.5 trillion on several hundred programs, including food stamps and other programs that we can get a lot of the money from by providing a dividend that ends up being a better option for many people who are enrolled in those programs. And the value-added tax on the technology companies I described would generate about $800 billion in new revenue, which, combined with current spending, all the economic activity from having this money in Americans' hands, as well as cost savings and value gains from having a stronger, healthier, better educated population, would be enough to pay for a dividend of $1,000 per month.
So with just a couple seconds left, Andrew, for our viewers here, yet you say the policy proposal isn't socialist, right?
No, it's capitalism where income doesn't start at zero. And I'm a CEO and business person. What's really good for markets is where people have money to spend. And my friends who are CEOs in Silicon Valley and other parts of the country know that that's the way the economy works.
All right, Andrew, we got to leave it there, but we will have you back soon. Thanks so much for your time today.
Again, I love this background so much. I don't know why. But so I think she was confused, right, at the beginning, maybe still, about how Andrew Yang is going to pay for the dividend. I mean, it seemed like she thought the dividends, sound great, but how are you going to pay for it? And then Andrew Yang threw at her, all these solid numbers and his plan. And I hope she's convinced that, maybe it takes time to digest. But you probably have seen this one. This is one even more awesome. Let's take a look what Tucker Carlson said about Andrew Yang, and I think it's pretty much Yang Gang. Okay.
Wowed by Andrew Yang, the Democratic presidential candidate who wants a universal basic income. He's admired Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard's bravery on foreign policy. She's also running for president, and he's wondered if President Trump is trying to lose the White House. Tucker Carlson, the host of Tucker Carlson Tonight, and star of all kinds of other things, best-selling author and blah, blah, blah. There's so much there.
Impressive.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
It is great to have you. I want to talk to you, because you've talked to a lot of these 2020 contenders. I want to play a little bit of your back and forth with Andrew Yang.
Yes.
Okay, and then we'll discuss.
Remarkably, the political figure who is making the most sense on this subject, who has thought about it most deeply, is a Democrat who is running for president. He's Andrew Yang. He's an entrepreneur. And as we said, he's a Democratic presidential candidate. He says that artificial intelligence and expanded automation could potentially cause violence in this country and that we need to do something about it right now. Haven't heard.
See, Tucker described Andrea as, the one who makes the most sense among the Democrats and the one who has the deepest insight, right? That's like Yang Gang right there.
Anybody in our political conversation describe the threat as clearly and compellingly as you have. Why should we be worried about automation?
Well, if you look at the backdrop, we automated away 4 million manufacturing jobs in Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Missouri, and those communities have never recovered. Where if you look at the numbers, half of the workers left the workforce and never worked again, and then half of that group filed for disability. Now, what happened to the manufacturing workers is now going to happen to the truck drivers, retail workers, call centers, fast food workers, and on through the economy as we evolve and technology marginalizes the labor of more and more Americans.
What will be the effects of that to you? I mean, that's a massive displacement of people. What will happen once that happens?
Well, as you said, I think it's going to be disastrous, where if you look at truck drivers alone, being a trucker is the most common job in 29 states. There are 3.5 million truck drivers in this country. And my friends in Silicon Valley are working on trucks that can drive themselves because that's where the money is, where we can save tens, even hundreds of billions of dollars by trying to automate that job.
You're one of the only people I've ever met who's honest about the effects of deindustrialization. I remember in Washington, the idea was they'll all become computer programmers, and so everything is fine, but that didn't happen. My question is, do we have to sit passively back and let this happen to the country?
Well, that's why I'm running for president, Tucker, is I think it would be insane to just sit back and watch this automation wave overtake our communities and our economy. So we're not ostriches. We can get our heads up out of the sand and say, look, we get it. Artificial intelligence is real. Self-driving cars and trucks are being tested on the highways right now. And we need to evolve. We need to actually start pushing the way we think of economic progress to include how our families are doing, how our children are doing, and things that would actually matter to the American people. Because GDP is going to lead us off a cliff. Robot trucks, great for GDP, terrible for many, many American communities. So we need to get with the program and figure out how to actually make this economy work for people.
I sit with my jaw open. I agree with you so strongly. Let me ask you finally, why isn't this a central question in the campaign of everybody running for president on any side? And why instead are they talking about issues that really are kind of frivolous? Why aren't they talking about this?
So if Tucker Carlson were to comment on this interview, right, anonymously, I bet his comments would be like many of those I've seen, saying, "Okay, that's my president right there," or, you know, hands down my president. Okay, and now he's asking, oh, I mean, this is such brilliant idea. So why wouldn't anyone else propose it? Like, why would it be you? And why couldn't they figure it out? Why couldn't they see the future? I mean, I already see that. I see that so powerful. I mean, the idea is so brilliant. But why couldn't other candidates see it?
As we're sitting here together, the labor force participation rate in the United States is 63.2%, the same level as Ecuador and Costa Rica. And if anyone thinks that's where America ought to be, I mean, that number is even going to be further challenged when all this technology comes online. So we have to make America embrace this challenge of the 21st century and then try and address it together as a people.
Last question. Shouldn't people who cite unemployment statistics be penalized for saying something so stupid?
Yeah, we have a series of bad numbers, and I referred to GDP as one. Certainly, the headline unemployment rate is completely misleading.
Yes.
And one of my mandates as president is I'm going to update the numbers so they actually make sense to the American people.
Yes,
Because,
so we can know what's going on. Otherwise, you can't make wise decisions.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so he's completely on board with Andrew Yang. Yes. That's hilarious. But that's his enthusiasm right there. That's his, being Yang Gan right there.
Right now, again, and you know this, our life expectancy has declined for the last 3 years, first time in 100 years because of a surge in suicides and drug overdoses. How can you say an economy is healthy when our people are dying? It makes no sense
I
at
literally
all.
couldn't. I don't even know what you think on the other issues, and I just support what you said so much.
But you agree with him on this point.
Well, I can't think of many more people on either side who are thinking more deeply about what the actual problems are. Automation, by every estimate, will eliminate a huge percentage of jobs in the United States at exactly the moment when we're importing millions of new people every year to fill jobs that probably won't exist 3 years from now or 10 years from now. It's lunatic, and nobody's saying anything about it other than Andrew Yang. I'm not sure why it's falling to him, but I don't care. I want somebody to tell the truth about it.
So you're worried about...
Yeah, so he's saying I can't think of many other candidates. Actually, he meant any other candidates, right? So, I mean, I think Tucker Carlson probably has a very deep understanding of the economy and how business run, and that's why he's completely on board with Andrew Yang's ideas and the reasons behind those.
the jobs, not this whole AI worry that people have, like the robots are going to come eat us and kill us?
Well, I think there's no question that...
Or is that a problem too?
Oh, it's a massive problem. Of course, because anybody running a business wants to eliminate labor costs, you know, or reduce them to the extent possible. That's the imperative of the market. There's no sin in that, but it's real, and we can't pretend otherwise. And so we often will say, we need more workers for agriculture. It's like they don't know anything about agriculture. Actually, very few parts of the ag economy aren't automated now. No, it's a completely real thing. By the way, lawyers, physicians, huge sectors of white-collar America are about to be overturned by AI, and nobody is talking about it because Russia...
Okay. Yeah, so I think these two people, they're basically Yang Gan. I mean, they already, you know, they're completely on board with Andrew Yang. And last but not least, let's see what Mayor Pete Buttigieg just said recently about Fox News. This is ridiculous. So Buttigieg campaign urges with viewers to watch Fox News. This is January 26th. So that's like, you know, 1 or 2 days after Andrew Yang urged people about Fox News, right? The importance of going on to Fox News. Okay. This is by John Egerton. Okay. While Fox may be the overwhelming choice of Republicans, one Democratic presidential candidate is urging viewers to turn into the cable news network, and again explaining why he chose to appear on the network. That is because Fox, which is the top-rated cable news net, will again be hosting a town hall with Pete Buttigieg in Des Moines, Iowa. That's January 26th. Okay. But come on. Male Pete is literally just copying Andrew Yang's idea, right? And I recall that previously he said he was the first one to go on Fox News. That's completely false. That's a lie. I mean, Andrew Yang, did an interview with Fox News as early as February 2019, and actually that can go back even earlier. I mean, like if you look at this interview, this is like August 20 August 4th, 2011, Andrew Yang Fox News interview. That was like 8 years ago, 7, 8
America
years ago.
program that's
Okay,
going to try
I'll
to create
leave the
jobs
link
here in the
below.
United States. It's
So-
called Venture for America. Its goal is to produce 100,000 jobs by 2025 in 3 very needy cities. And we're very lucky to have Andrew Yang. He's the founder, the inventor of this. You're creating these jobs. And how are you doing it?
Okay, so I'm gonna leave the link below. But anyway, so and there are some really interesting, funny comments. So this man has been trying to fix America for almost 10 years. He has walked in our shoes, experienced the hardships of every lower middle class American. He is the man we need in office because he hasn't been standing in the ivory towers of the rich elite, but he's been in the thick of it all and understands why our system is broken, and he comes bearing all real solutions. And so basically this guy got up one morning and said, guess I have to fix the country now. That's some seriously sizable concerns he has. What a guy. I hate Andrew Yang. I hate him. I hate him. I hate him. He's gonna beat my Trump. He left me no choice but to vote for him. I hate him so much. That's hilarious. Okay, anyway, so getting back to Pete Buttigieg. So Pete Buttigieg, said blah blah blah. Why I'm going on to Fox News. I mean, you're just following Andrew Yang. We can't play it safe. We can't afford to write off voters. Pete broke through with his CNN town through last March, and even had Donald Trump attacking him after his Fox News town hall dominated the national conversation. Come on, Donald Trump didn't even dare to attack Andrew Yang right now, because he's the only one that Andrew Yang is the only one that Donald Trump fears. Anyway, so Buttigieg's campaign said, this is one of our last chances to communicate directly with the American people. I need you to watch the town hall. Tell your friends, family, and neighbors about it. And I'm going to review Pete Buttigieg's town hall performance later. It's disappointing at best. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you very much for your attention. Please comment below.